My name is Nora, and the night I turned 18 was supposed to be simple. Not extravagant. Not dramatic. Just mine. I had spent the entire week convincing myself that this birthday meant something different. 18 wasn't just a number, it was the line between being the kid who stayed quiet and the adult who finally mattered. The backyard was already decorated by noon. Cheap string lights hung unevenly between the fence posts. A banner I ordered online sagged slightly in the middle, but I didn't care. I lined cupcakes across the counter, carefully fixing the frosting so none of them looked messy. It wasn't about perfection. It was about being seen. That morning my brother came home furious. I heard the door slam hard enough to rattle the picture frames before I even knew it was him. He stormed through the house like everything in his path had personally offended him. His big road trip, concert, friends, freedom had fallen apart when the car broke down. None of that was my fault. But somehow it became my problem. He walked past the kitchen table without glancing at the decorations, didn't ask who was coming, didn't even acknowledge that it was my birthday. He just gestured toward the backyard and said flatly, "If I can't have fun, then neither can she." He didn't say my name. He didn't need to. My mom froze. I watched her expression change, not confusion, not disagreement, but calculation. The same look she always had when deciding which problem was easier to deal with. By the time I realized what was happening, she was already on her phone. Fingers flying. Messages sent. Apology texts. Excuse texts. Cancellation texts. No one asked me. Hours later, everything was still set up like a ghost of a party. The cupcakes untouched. The lights glowing softly as evening crept in. My phone stayed silent. No doorbell. No laughter. No friends pulling into the driveway. Just my dad avoiding my eyes and my mom repeating the same sentence like it explained everything. "It's better this way, honey. Your brother just isn't in a good place." That was the moment something inside me cracked. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't argue. I went upstairs, closed my door, and started packing. Quietly. If their house revolved around my brother's moods, then I didn't belong in the center or the background anymore. I stuffed clothes into a bag, grabbed my old camera, shoved notebooks into my backpack. I wasn't running. I was done waiting. Before I could finish, my mom shouted from downstairs, sharp and commanding, telling me to come down. Not asking. When I walked into the kitchen, all three of them were there, waiting like I was the problem that needed fixing. My brother slouched in his chair like a king denied entertainment. My dad leaned against the counter, neutral and tired. My mom stood with her arms crossed, already defensive. That was the first time anyone tried to explain why my birthday had disappeared. And it was the first time I realized this wasn't just about one ruined night. It was about years of being told to be understanding, to be strong, to wait my turn. And standing there, staring at the people who erased me without hesitation, I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't the end of the story. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this already feels familiar, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below what you would have done in that moment. We sat around the kitchen table like it was a meeting. Not a family talk. Not a discussion. A verdict. My mom spoke first because she always did when the story needed controlling. "You need to understand," she said, palms flat on the counter. "Your brother had a really rough week." I waited. She looked at me like I was supposed to nod, accept it, absorb it like I always had. "So?" I asked. My dad shifted uncomfortably. "He's under a lot of pressure," he added. "Things didn't go his way." I glanced at my brother. He didn't look pressured. He looked bored. "So my birthday just disappeared?" I asked. "Because his trip got canceled?" My mom exhaled sharply, already annoyed. "You're making this sound worse than it is. We didn't cancel it. We postponed it." I laughed before I could stop myself. "You texted everyone not to come," I said. "You boxed up the food. You took the banner down." She waved her hand. "It would have been awkward with him upset. We didn't want drama." That word again. Drama. The label they used every time I asked for space, attention, or fairness. I felt my chest tighten. So the solution was to erase me? My brother finally spoke, leaning back in his chair. "It's not that serious," he said. "You're 18. You'll have more birthdays. Something about the way he said it, casual, dismissive, made my hands shake. I only turn 18 once, I replied. You know that. He shrugged. Yeah, well, stuff happens. Stuff. That's what my milestones were to them. Stuff that could be moved, minimized, or sacrificed if it made his life easier. My mom stepped closer to me, voice softer now but sharper underneath. You've always been more mature, she said. You understand these things better than he does. There it was. The compliment that wasn't one. The excuse they'd leaned on my entire life. Be patient. Be flexible. Be the one who gives things up quietly. My dad nodded like this was settled. We'll do something later. Bigger. Nicer. I looked at the counter where the cupcakes had been hours earlier. Melted. Tossed. Forgotten. No, I said. They all froze. No, my mom repeated. I don't want a replacement birthday, I said. I wanted that one. Silence filled the room. For a moment I thought just maybe someone would apologize. Instead, my mom's face hardened. You're being selfish, she said. Family makes sacrifices. I stared at her. Then why am I always the one being sacrificed? No one answered. Not my dad. Not my brother. That's when it hit me. They weren't confused. They weren't conflicted. They had already decided whose feelings mattered more. I went upstairs without another word and finished packing. This time I didn't hide it. I carried my bags past them. Shoes. Backpack. Camera. My mom followed me to the door, panic creeping into her voice. Where do you think you're going? I turned back, heart pounding but steady. Somewhere I'm not optional, I said. Her mouth opened, ready to argue, to guilt me into staying. But I didn't wait to hear it. I stepped outside into the cool night air and felt something unfamiliar settle into my chest. Relief. Because for the first time I wasn't asking them to choose me. I was choosing myself. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this chapter hit hard, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below what you would have done after that conversation. I didn't go far that night. I slept on a friend's couch, staring at the ceiling while the house settled into unfamiliar noises. Every few minutes, my phone lit up on the coffee table beside me. Missed calls. Texts stacked on top of each other. My mom's name over and over again. I didn't answer. Not because I was trying to punish anyone, but because for the first time in my life I didn't feel the need to explain myself. The next morning the guilt tried to creep back in. It always did. That voice in my head sounded just like my mom's. You overreacted. It was just one night. You made things harder than they needed to be. But then I remembered the empty backyard. The untouched cupcakes. My brother's shrug. And the guilt faded. I stayed with friends at first. Then with my aunt for a few weeks. She didn't ask many questions, just handed me clean towels and told me I could stay as long as I needed. That alone felt revolutionary. I enrolled in community college that fall using the savings I'd been quietly building from part-time jobs my parents barely noticed. I worked mornings at a cafe and evenings editing photos, something I'd loved since I was a kid, but had been told was impractical. For the first time, no one laughed at my plans. Back home, things didn't go smoothly without me. I heard through relatives that my brother's moods got worse without a target. The house felt heavier, quieter. My mom complained constantly about how ungrateful I'd been, but she couldn't explain why. People started asking questions. Why did she leave so suddenly? Why was her birthday canceled in the first place? The story my parents had always told, that I was dramatic, sensitive, difficult, didn't hold up when people looked closer. They reached out eventually. My dad first. Awkward texts. Half apologies wrapped in confusion. My mom later. Long messages about family, forgiveness, and how hurt she was. Not once did she apologize for choosing my brother over me. So I didn't go back. I set rules instead. Short visits. Public places. No pretending nothing happened. The first time I saw them again months later, my brother barely looked at me. The power had shifted and he could feel it. I wasn't competing anymore. I was gone. That was the part they didn't expect. Years passed. I transferred schools. Moved into my own place. Built a small but solid life made of people who showed up without needing to be begged. On my 21st birthday, I sat around a table with friends who sang too loudly and burned the cake. Someone made a speech that was terrible and heartfelt. Someone else cried. No one canceled anything. I took a photo that night and posted it online. Nothing dramatic. Just a caption that said, "Finally learned what family feels like." My mom saw it. She didn't comment. And for the first time I didn't care. I used to think revenge meant yelling, or proving them wrong, or making them feel what I felt. I was wrong. The real revenge was living a life where their choices no longer defined me, where my milestones weren't optional, where my presence wasn't something people could erase without consequence. Turning 18 was the day they chose a grill over me. Leaving was the day I chose myself. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this story stayed with you, give it a like, it really helps the channel. And comment below. Would you have walked away that night? Or stayed and tried one more time? Your story matters more than you've been told.